We'll have our pre-week discussion in FAR. Class today, we'll have our pre-week discussion in FAR. Since maraming topics in FAR, ang magiging discard natin for this subject, for each topic, i-highlight ko yung mga key points, and then i-discuss yung mga pinaka-important na concepts, and then diretso sagot tayo sa handouts. Okay? Take note na in our pre-week, mag-focus tayo on the basic concepts. Walang any complications. Straightforward discussion, straightforward computation, yung mga basic concepts na yan, iyan yung magiging panlaban natin in the actual board exam. Okay? Are you ready? Let's start. Cash and cash equivalents. We have two types of cash on hand and cash in bank. Examples of cash on hand, coins and currencies, petty cash fund, undeposited collections, and money order. Examples of cash in bank, we have savings deposit, demand deposit, checks received from customers, and last one is bank draft. Now, ingat ka dun sa checks received from customers. Meron tayong three special cases: post-dated check, NSF check, and undelivered check. So for example, meron tayong 3 dates, December 26, December 31, and January 5. Obviously, ang important sa atin is December 31. If it's a post-dated check or PDC, as of December 31, it's still an accounts receivable. Okay, sir, kailan siya magiging part of our cash? Kapag pwede na natin siyang i-encash. Okay, so for example, ma-encash na natin siya on January 5, dun pala siya magiging cash. But as of December 31, still considered as accounts receivable. No sufficient funds or NSF, as of December 31, it's also an accounts receivable. Sir, kailan siya magiging cash? Kapag nag-redeposit and nag-clear yung check, doon pala siya magiging cash. For example, January 5. But as of December 31, it's still an accounts receivable. Now, kapag naman undelivered check, point of view tayo ni issuer. So tayo nag-issue, for example, kay supplier, kapag undelivered yan, hindi pa natin nabibigay kay supplier, it's still part of our cash in bank. Alright? Sir, kailan siya mawawala sa cash in bank natin? Kapag na-deliver na natin and na-encash ni supplier. For example, January 5. So ingat ka dito, post-dated check, NSF, and undelivered check. Let's go to cash equivalent. Sir, paano siya magka-qualify as cash equivalent? It should be a debt instrument, hindi pwedeng equity instrument, and it should be acquired 3 months or less before maturity. Yung important dyan, yung 3 months. Examples of cash equivalents are treasury bills, treasury notes, treasury bonds, time deposit, money market placement, and commercial paper. Okay? Now, if the problem is silent, pag nakalagay ng treasury bills, automatic kasama yan sa cash equivalent because ang maximum ng treasury bills is 90 days or 3 months. Kapag naman treasury notes, treasury bonds, time deposit, money market placement, and commercial paper, dapat i-mention sa problem na acquired sila 3 months or less before maturity. Let's go to compensating balance. Kapag nag-loan tayo sa bank, may maintaining balance tayo doon. Ang tawag doon, compensating balance. Parang security ng loan yan. Right? Ano yung classification yan? Tingnan mo muna. If it's not legally restricted, ibig sabihin pwede natin i-withdraw anytime, it is considered as cash in bank. Kapag legally restricted, hindi natin mawi-withdraw. Okay? Tingnan mo muna kung ano yung nature of the loan. If the loan is short-term, yung classification ng compensating balance natin is other current assets. If the loan is long-term, classification for compensating balance is other non-current assets. So basically, mini-mirror natin siya, nakaparallel siya. If it's short-term, current asset. If it's long-term, non-current asset. But definitely, kapag legally restricted, hindi siya part of your cash in bank. And last one is petty cash fund. Petty cash fund is used for small disbursements, okay? So ito yung T account natin, kailan mag-move yung account na petty cash fund kapag nag-establish tayo. Because ang entry dyan, debit petty cash fund, credit cash in bank. Pag in-increase natin yung balance ng petty cash fund, entry mo dyan, debit petty cash fund, credit cash in bank. Now, kapag nag-disburse tayo or gumastos tayo, for the disbursements, remember, no journal entry. I-record lang natin siya sa vouchers natin. Alright? Now, every month end or year end, mag-a-adjust tayo. Okay? Ang entry mo dyan, debit expense, credit, petty cash fund. Establishment, plus yung increase, minus the adjustment, ending balance mo is 7,000. Okay? Iko-compare mo yan, so assume figures lang yan. Iko-compare mo yan sa physical cash count. If the count is equal, 7,000 yung balance, yung count natin 7,000, walang problema dyan. If 7,000 yung nasa records natin, pero 6,000 na yung physical count natin, we have a shortage. If yung nasa record natin is 7,000, physical count natin is 8,000, we now have an overage. Alright? So, ayan, yung mga concepts na kailangan nyo tandaan for cash and cash equivalents, let's apply sa handouts natin. Let's go to question number 1. Which of the following should not be considered cash for financial reporting purposes? Pag sinabing cash, ang kasama lang doon, cash on hand and cash in bank. Okay? Pag sinabing cash and cash equivalents, doon mo lang isasama yung cash equivalents. So, tingnan natin. A, petty cash fund and undeposited collections, kasama yan. Cash on hand yan. Money orders and customers checks. So, money orders, customers checks, or checks received from customers, kasama din yan. Coins and currencies, yes. Post-dated check, hindi. Sabi ko kayo na kapag post-dated check, AR yan. IOUs naman, receivable from employees yan. Okay? Dog for number 1. Number 2, which of the following is not considered as part of cash and cash equivalents? Money market placement, yes. Well, assuming acquired sa 3 months or less. Commercial paper, yes. Treasury bill, yes. Bank overdraft. Pag overdraft, ibig sabihin excessive yung withdrawal natin. Meron tayong liability, current liability, dun sa bank. Okay? Pero pag bank draft, cash in bank yan. Overdraft nakalagay. Hindi yan cash. Okay? Current liability yan. Letter D or dog for number 2. Number 3, the petty cash account is debited. Kailan doon debit yung petty cash? Tingin ka lang sa T account natin. Letter C yung sagot dyan. When the fund is established, ito yung entry mo, debit petty cash fund, credit cash in bank. And when the size of the fund is increased, debit petty cash fund, credit cash in bank. Kapag disbursements, walang entry yan. Kapag year-end adjustment, doon ka lang may entry, debit expense, credit petty cash fund. Letter C for number 3. Let's go to number 4. What total amount should be reported as cash at year-end? Isa-isahin natin yung items. Okay, Pinnacle Company provided the following information at year-end comprising the cash count. So, diretso calculator na tayo, right? Alin daw dito yung part of cash? Again, pag sinabi lang cash on hand and cash in bank. Cash in bank, demand deposit, kasama yan, 5 million. Cash on hand, yes, plus 400,000. Postage stamps unused, hindi, supplies yan. 90-day certificate of time deposit, okay sana. Kung nakalagay sa problem, cash and cash equivalent. Cash equivalent yan, huwag mo isasama sa cash yan. Next, money order, yes. Ito siya, cash on hand yan. So, plus 50,000. Next, manager's check and traveler's check. So, checks received, alright? So, plus 100,000 plus 1 million na traveler's check. Post-dated check, hindi. AR yan kapag post-dated. Total natin, 6,550,000, letter C for number 4. Let's go to number 5. What amount should be reported as cash and cash equivalents? This time, pwede mo na isama yung cash equivalents. Mr. Accounting Company had the following account balances on December 31. Okay? Petty cash fund, 50,000. So, lagyan natin, number 5, lagyan natin solution. Petty cash fund, pero ingat ka dyan, punta ka dun sa next paragraph. The petty cash fund included unreplenished cash expense vouchers of 5,000 and employee IOU. Ang isasama mo lang sa petty cash fund, yun talagang cash, right? So yung 50,000 na given, 50,000 i-minus mo yung expense na 5,000, i-minus mo yung IOU na 5,000 because nagastos na yan. Petty cash fund mo lang talaga is 40,000. Right? Next, cash on hand. Yes, kasama yan. Pero take note, nakalagay 500,000. So punta ka dun sa last sentence. The cash on hand included a 100,000 check payable to the entity dated January 31. Ang tawag natin dyan, post-dated check. Pag post-dated check, hindi yan part of your cash. So 500,000 minus 100, that is 400,000. Okay? So cash on hand, 400,000. Next natin, cash in bank, payroll account. Yes, kasama yan. 4 million. Cash in bank, current account, yes. And yung payroll account. So 4 million and 1 million. 60-day time deposit, 60 days lang. So, ibig sabihin, part of your cash equivalents kasi within 3 months yan. So, you have 2 million. And then, cash in bank, restricted account for plant addition expected to be disbursed in early 2026. So, legally restricted yan. Okay? Kailan pwede siyang gamitin? Next year. Pero since legally restricted yan, parang yung concept kanina, basta restricted, hindi pwedeng cash yan. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, other current asset yung classification yan. Next, cash in sinking fund, set aside. Automatic, hindi na cash yan. Kailan gagamitin? 2027. So, other non-current assets. So, may sasama yan. So, let's compute. So, we have 40,000 plus 400,000 plus 4 million plus 1 million plus 2 million. So, doon mo dyan class, 7,440,000 for number 5. Answer mo dyan is dog. Let's go to number 6. Okay. What total amount should be reported as cash? And number 7, what total amount should be reported as cash equivalents? Let's read the given. ABC Company had a checkbook balance. Pag checkbook, ibig sabihin cash in bank yan. 8 million and held the following item in the safe. Check payable to ABC dated January 5 included daw sa check balance. So, checkbook balance. So, natin class, post-dated check yan. Tanggalin mo yan. So, ang gagawin ko dyan, for number 6, meron tayong 8 million na unadjusted. I-minus natin yung 2 million. Okay? Next, check payable to ABC. Deposited December 20, included in December 31. So, kasama daw. Ingat ka kung included or excluded. But returned by bank, NSF. Kailan nila redeposit? Next year pa, January 2. So, yung 500,000 as of December 31, accounts receivable, i-minus natin yan, minus 500,000. Next, check drawn on ABC's account and payable to a vendor or to supplier. Dated and recorded December 31. Nag-record ka na. Debit accounts payable, credit cash. But not mailed, undelivered check. Pag undelivered check, sa'yo pa yan. As of December 31. Since nirecord mo na yan, add back mo plus 1.5 million. Next, cash on hand, deposit collections, kasama yan, 100,000. Next, petty cash fund, kasama yan, plus 40,000. Time deposit for plant expansion, basta naka-restrict, hindi yan part of your cash. Next, money market placement, o treasury bill, o cash equivalent yan. Sa number 7 kasi ang tanong sa atin is cash equivalent, isama mo yan, treasury bill na 2.5 million and money market placement na 3 million. So let's assume for this problem na acquired sila 3 months or less before maturity. Alright? Postage stamps unused, that is supplies. So tingnan natin. For cash, let's compute 8 million. Minus 2 million, minus 500,000, plus 1.5 million, plus 400,000, plus 40,000, you have 7,440,000. Boy yung sagot natin. For number 6. Number 7, 2.5 million plus 3 million, you have 5.5 million. Letter C for number 7. Okay, boy for number 6, and then letter C for number 7. Alright, so that's for your cash equivalents. Cash and cash equivalents. Let's now go to next topic, bank reconciliation. Sir, ano yung mga kailangan natin tandaan dyan? Well, bank reconciliation, meron kang per book and per bank. Alright, so tingnan natin, ito yung format natin, basta bank recon. Pag sa books natin, start ka muna with unadjusted balance. Yan yung per book. Yan yung amount na nakalagay dun sa ledger natin. Okay? Add mo yung credit memo. Ano yung mga examples of credit memo? Note collected by the bank and yung interest earned natin sa bank. Yung credit memo, na-add na siya ni bank, pero hindi pa natin nare-record, kaya ipa-plus mo yan. Minus debit memo, ano examples of debit memo? Bank service charges and NSF. Na minus na yan ni bank, pero hindi pa natin nare-record, kailangan mo i-minus yan. Plus minus errors, i-analyze natin yung nature ng errors para malaman natin kung plus or minus, you get the adjusted cash balance. Let's now go dun sa bank side. Per bank, o yun yung unadjusted balance, makikita natin sa bank statement. And add mo yung deposit in transit because na-add na natin yan sa books pero hindi pa nare-record ni bank. Minus mo yung outstanding checks because na-minus na natin yan sa books pero hindi pa nare-record ni bank. Plus minus errors, depende sa errors, i-analyze natin para malaman natin if plus or minus, you get adjusted cash balance. Dapat equal yung dalawa na yan, iyan yung mag-appear in our balance sheet as our cash in bank. Alright? Let's apply. Let's go to our handouts. Bank reconciliation. Number 1, a bank reconciliation is prepared monthly in order for the entity to, punta ka dun sa letter A, arrive at the correct cash balance. Okay? Or, ibig sabihin, yan yung adjusted cash balance natin na mag-appear in the balance sheet. Letter A, number 1 for bank recon. Number 2, bank recon are normally prepared on a monthly basis to identify adjustments needed in the depositor's records and to identify bank errors. Adjustments on the part of the depositor should be recorded for. Ano yung mga may entries tayo? Lahat lang ng book reconciling items. Bank reconciling items, si bank yung bahala mag-adjust dyan. Okay? Sagot mo dyan, boy, all items except bank errors, outstanding checks, and deposit in transit. Because ito, bank reconciling items yan, wala kang journal entry dyan. Ito lang yung i-journalize natin. Okay? Boy for number 2. Number 3, a bank statement provides information about all of the following except, yan yung bang isi-send sa atin ni bank na report, bank statement yun. A, bank charges, yes. B, errors made by the company, hindi. Errors made by the bank. Boy na yung sagot mo dyan. Checks cleared, yes. NSF checks, yes. Boy for number 3. Okay. Let's go to numbers 4 and 5. So, mag-prepare tayo ng bank recon. Number 4, what is the adjusted cash in bank? And number 5, what is the unadjusted cash in bank? Ingat ka kung ang tanong is adjusted or unadjusted. Okay, CPA company provided the following information at month end. Cash in bank per bank statement. So pag bank recon, gawa ka na agad ng format natin. So lagyan natin dito, ito yung book. Okay, so yung book and bank. Right? So, ibig sabihin cash in bank per bank statement. Dito siya. Per bank natin. Yan yung unadjusted balance per bank, which is 8 million. Next natin, deposit in transit. Alam natin class, pag DIT, add mo siya. Plus 1.2 million. Next natin, outstanding checks. Ma-minus natin yan. Minus 1.3 million. And then, we have amount erroneously credited by bank to CPA's account. Analyze natin. Si bank yung may error dyan. Tama? Now, credit daw. Pag credit, ibig sabihin, in-add sa account natin. Pero dapat hindi. So, minus natin yan error. Mag-minus tayo na 150,000. Next, note collected by bank for CPA including interest. Ang tawag na dyan, credit memo. So, lagyan natin dito per book. And then, add natin yung credit memo. So, plus 1.1 million. Next natin, service charge for the current month. Debit memo naman yan. So, minus natin yan sa book. Minus 20,000. NSF checks, actually, debit memo din yan. So, minus 500,000. Next, error in recording a check in the book. So, ang nagkamali si book o yung company. The correct amount as paid by the bank is 100,000 instead of 200,000 as recorded in the book. So, ang ginawa natin class, yung error ng company, yung binawas niya sa cash natin, okay, is 200. Dapat 100 lang. So, kailangan natin i-add back yung error natin, add back natin, plus 100,000. Alright, so let's compute for the adjusted balance. Doon tayo sa bank muna. 8 million plus 1.2 million minus 1.3 million minus 150,000. Adjusted balance natin is 7,750,000. Kaya sagot natin class for number 4 is letter A. Copy-paste natin, 7,750 because ang tanong sa number 5 is unadjusted. So ito siya. Work back tayo, 7,750,000 minus 100,000 plus 500 plus 20 minus 1.1 million. Sagot mo dyan class, 7,070,000, letter A. Alright? For number 5. Now, since lagi naman equal yung dalawa na yan, kapag ang tanong sa'yo is adjusted cash balance, ako gagawin ko dyan is yung bank format na lang. Alright? Kasi mas madali yan eh. Kasi yung balance per bank statement, deposit in transit, minus outstanding checks, plus minus error, you get your adjusted cash balance. So mas madali yung bank kaysa dun sa book. Okay? Pero pag may time ka in the board exam, pareho mong gawin yan kasi para mas sure tayo na tama yung sagot mo. Okay? Sige, let's go to the next topic, trade and other receivables. We have two types of trade and other receivables. Yung trade and non-trade. Okay? Pag sinabi mong trade, right, ito yung related sa ordinary course of business natin or yung main line of business natin. Okay? We have three types. Accounts receivable, notes receivable, and loans receivable. Kapag sinabing accounts receivable, walang promissory note. No promissory note. Kapag sinabing notes receivable, with promissory note. Okay? Pag sinabing loans receivable, parang AR din siya, pero point of view ng bangko, ng bank. Alright? Now, since trade receivable sila, ang rule natin in accounting, pag collectible sila within 12 months, or operating cycle, whichever is longer, right? Yan yung rule natin. Pero pag trade receivable, since related yan sa ordinary course of business, ang presentation mo lagi dyan is current asset. Alright? So yun yung rule natin for trade receivables. Now, non-trade, ang ibang tawag dyan, other receivables. Examples yan, advances. Pwedeng advances from employees, advances from officers, and so on and so forth. Ano pa? Suppliers, debit balances. Right? Kailan nagkakaroon ng supplier's debit balance? So imagine meron tayong accounts payable. For example, beginning balance yan, obviously credit balance, tama? And then nagbayad ka, overpayment, sobra-sobra. Okay? And then meron kang ending balance mo naging debit since sobra yung payment mo. Okay? Kapag supplier's debit balance or debit balance in your accounts payable, ang classification mo is non-trade receivable. Meron kang advances to supplier. Alright? Current asset yan. Now, in the same way, kapag naman point of view ka ni seller, for example, meron tayong AR. Beginning balance mo, syempre, debit. Okay? Yung collections mo, sobra-sobra. Naging ending balance mo now is a credit. Ang tawag mo dyan, customer's credit balance. Kapag customer's credit balance, ang classification naman is current liability. Ulitin ko class. Kapag supplier's debit balance, current asset yan. Kapag customer's credit balance, current liability yan. Next example of non-trade receivable is subscriptions receivable. Tingnan mo muna. Kapag collectible siya, within 1 year, current asset yung classification yan. Kapag more than 1 year, contra equity account yan. Ma-minus mo sa equity kapag more than 1 year yung collectibility of your subscriptions receivable. Another example, accrued income. Ano mga examples of accrued income? Interest receivable, dividend receivable, rent receivable, yung mga ganyan. And last one nating class is claims receivable. Pag claims receivable, maganda example niyan, receivable from insurance company. Yung mga ganyan. So, we have trade receivable and non-trade receivable. Kailan magiging current asset yung non-trade receivables? Dapat within 12 months sila collectible. Alright? So, ayan. And then, tingnan natin yung balance sheet presentation of our accounts receivable. Accounts receivable minus allowance. Okay? Yung allowance natin, meron tayong 3 sources niyan. AR minus allowance. We have allowance for doubtful accounts, allowance for sales returns, and allowance for sales discounts. You get your net realizable value. Alright? So, pag yan ng NRV, yung gross AR, minus mo lahat ng allowance. Now, mag-focus tayo dun sa allowance for doubtful accounts. So, tignan natin class, yung movement. Okay? Kailan nag-move yung allowance for doubtful accounts? Every December 31, mag-estimate tayo ng doubtful accounts. Anong entry mo dyan? Debit budget expense, credit ADA. Tignan natin yung movement. Gawa tayo ng T-account. Okay? So, ibig sabihin class, yung ADA natin, ang normal balance yan is a credit. Lagay ko beginning balance. I-increase yan kapag may budget expense tayo. Kasi budget expense, credit allowance for doubtful accounts. Okay? So, ito yung estimate natin of doubtful accounts every December 31. Kapag nag-write off ka, entry mo dyan. Debit ADA, credit AR. So, every time na mag-write off tayo, nagde-debit tayo dun sa ADA natin. Okay? Pag nag-recover tayo, yung ni-write off, i-recover natin, i-reverse mo natin yung entry, debit AR, credit ADA. Debit cash, credit AR. Therefore, offset yan, entry mo talaga upon recovery, debit cash, credit ADA. So, kapag recovery, nagke-credit tayo sa ADA and we get the ending balance. Okay? So, yun yung movement of our allowance for doubtful accounts. Let's answer our handouts. Okay, trade and other receivables. Number 1, trade receivables are classified as current assets if these are reasonably expected to be collected. So, sabi ko kanina, within 1 year or 12 months or operating cycle, whichever is longer. Letter D for number 1. Number 2, which of the following statements is true in relation to presentation of receivables? In the statement of financial position. Actually, for presentation yan, pagsasamahin mo yan, trade and other receivables. Punta ka sa DOG for number 2, trade receivables and non-trade receivables, which are currently collectible, shall be presented as one line item called trade and other receivables. Number 3, credit balances in accounts receivable shall be classified as, pag credit balance yung accounts receivable mo, current liability yan. That's why sagot mo na dyan, letter A. Kapag naman debit balance sa accounts payable mo, current asset naman yan. Got it? Okay. Number 4, what total amount should be reported as current trade and other receivables? So, ingat ka. Kapag nakalagay lang trade, isasama mo lang dyan yung tatlo. AR, NR, and loans receivable. Pag sinabing trade and other receivables, isasama mo yung mga non-trade. Okay? So, sige, let's compute. How much daw yung trade and other receivables? BSA company reported the following analysis of current receivables at year-end. Trade accounts receivable, kasama yan, 2 million. Allowance for doubtful accounts, ima-minus mo yan. Naka-minus ka sa allowance, tama? Contra AR yan, minus 100,000. Claims against shipper for goods lost in transit. Claims receivable, kasama yan sa non-trade, so plus mo yan, plus 300. Next, selling price of unsold goods sent by BSA on consignment at 150% of cost and not included in ending inventory. So, nag-consign tayo. Tayo si consignor. Part ng inventory yan. Huwag mo sasama sa trade and other receivables yan. Next, security deposit on lease of warehouse. Long-term yan. Matagalan yan. Ang tanong dito, current trade and other receivables. So, yung tatlo lang isasama natin. 2 million minus 100,000 plus 300,000, 2.2 million. Letter A for number 4. Letter A for number 4. Let's go to number 5. What is the correct balance of trade accounts receivable? Okay, so let's see the given. At year-end, the entity reported accounts receivable of 8.2 million. Advances to subsidiary, kasama ba yan? Hindi. Kapag advances to subsidiary, lagay mo dyan, other non-current asset yung classification mo dyan. Customers account reporting credit balances arising from sales returns. Pag customers credit balance, again, credit yan sa AR. Okay, current liability yan. Trade accounts receivable, kasama yan, 3.5 million. Next, subscriptions receivable due in 30 days. Okay sana, kaya lang ang tanong na sa atin, trade AR. Huwag mo isasama yung non-trade o yung other receivable. Huwag mo isasama to. Okay, so hindi kasama yan. Next natin, trade installment receivable. So kapag trade, again, always current yan. Current asset yan. Okay, because pasok yan sa operating cycle natin. So isama mo yan. We have 800,000, so plus 800,000. Next natin class is, okay, trade accounts receivable from officers. Basta trade, bisa bumili sa iyo yung officers, kasama yan, plus 150. Trade accounts receivable, on which postage checks are held. Okay, so kasama rin yan, basta trade, ibig sabihin, binenta mo yan. Okay, related sa main line of business natin. Plus 200, answer mo dyan class for number 5, letter A, for 650,000. Again, ang ginawa ko, 3.5 million, plus 800,000, plus 150,000, plus 200,000, for 650,000, letter A, for number 5. Number 6, what amount should be reported as NRV of AR? Kapag NRV, ima-minus mo yung allowance dyan. Okay? Let's read the given. CBA company provided the following information for the current year in relation to accounts receivable. Ang gagawin ko dyan, magti-T account ako for AR. Number 6, AR natin. AR January 1, 1.3 million. We have credit sales, 5.5 million. I-debit mo yan. We have sales return, minus 150,000. So credit natin yan. Accounts written off. Pag nag-write off ka, debit ADA, credit AR. So bawas sa AR yan, 100,000. And then we have collections. Obviously, credit sa AR yan. Tingnan natin class kung how much yung balance ng gross AR natin. 1.3 million. Plus 5.5 million, minus 150,000, minus 100, minus 5 million, you have 1,550,000. Okay? So pag ang tinanong gross AR, yun yung sagot mo. Pero ang tanong sa atin, NRV. So ito yung gross AR, minus natin yung allowance. Okay? Ang available na allowance given, allowance for future sales return. Ito siya, allowance for sales return. And then, estimated uncollectible accounts, yun yung allowance for doubtful accounts. So i-minus natin yan, 1,550,000 minus yung 50,000 allowance and 250,000. Let's get the NRV. 1,550,000 minus 50. Minus 250, sagot dito class, 1,250,000, letter B for number 6. Okay, letter B for number 6. Let's go to estimation of doubtful accounts. Again, every year end, December 31, kailangan i-estimate natin yung doubtful accounts or yung possible na hindi magbayad sa atin. Right? And again, yung ADA na yan, entry mo dyan, debit budget expense, credit ADA. Yung ADA, minus natin yan sa accounts receivable. We have 3 acceptable methods to estimate our doubtful accounts. Percentage of sales, basically, yung sales natin, multiply mo sa percentage, let's say 1%. Percentage of AR, AR balance, multiply mo by 2%. And aging of accounts receivable. Pag aging of accounts receivable, basically yung past due AR natin, isa-isay mo yan kung ilang days past due and multiply mo sa corresponding percentages. Now, ano yung result pag minultiply mo yan? Kapag percentage of sales class, tandaan mo, ang result mo na dyan is the budget expense. So kung how much yung debit budget expense, credit ADA, yun na. Kumbaga kapag percentage of sales, ito na yung makukompute mo dyan. Yung change during the period. Alright? Kapag percentage of AR and aging of AR, tandaan mo class, ending balance na yung makukompute mo dyan. Ending balance or the required balance. Alright? Ano yung required balance? Ito. So, ulitin ko. Kapag percentage of sales, makukompute mo na dyan kung how much yung budget expense, which is this one, yung change during the period. Kapag percentage of AR, okay, based on AR, and aging of AR, ang makukompute mo dyan, yung ending balance. Alright? Sige, apply natin yan. Let's go to our handouts, estimation of doubtful accounts. Number 1, which of the following is not permitted in accounting for uncollectible accounts receivable? Percentage of AR, yes. Next, percentage of sales, yes. Direct write-off, hindi yan allowed in the standards. Okay? Aging, yes. Letter C for number 1. Number 2, when the allowance method of recognizing budget expense is used, the allowance for doubtful accounts or ADA would decrease when? Kailan daw siya magdi-decrease? Take note na ang normal balance of ADA is a credit. Kailan siya magdi-decrease? Kapag nag-write-off ka. Kaya letter D or dog for number 2, specific uncollectible account is written off. Alright, number 3. Question mo tayo. What amount should be reported as allowance for doubtful accounts? So, gagawin ko dyan for number 3, mag-T account tayo ng ADA. Alright? Let's read the given. An entity provided the following information. Allowance for doubtful accounts beginning to January 1, 200,000. Lagay ko siya dito sa credit because yun yung normal balance niya. Sales, all on credit. Sales discount, sales returns and allowances. Accounts written off. Pag nag-write off ka, tandaan mo, bawas sa ADA yan because ang entry mo, debit ADA, credit AR. So, meron kang 100,000 sa debit. Next, recovery of accounts written off. Yung net entry natin kapag recovery, debit cash, credit ADA, binu kapag recovery, mag-i-increase yung ADA natin. So ilagay natin, recovery, 50,000. Alright? And then, the entity recorded doubtful accounts expense at a rate of 5% of net credit sales. Okay? Percentage of sales. Kapag percentage of sales, makukompute mo dyan is the change. Alright? So gagawin ko dyan, net credit sales daw. So tingnan mo muna yung sales. All on credit, 9.5 million. Minus sales discount of 1 million. Minus sales returns and allowances na 500,000. Multiply mo by 1%, nakuha nyo ba yung ulit, 9.5 million minus 1 million minus 500,000 multiply by 5%. Okay, 0.05. Nakuha ko dito classes 400,000. Alright, so yung 400,000 na yan, lagay mo yan dito. Debit budget expense, credit allowance for doubtful accounts, 400,000. Ang tanong sa atin, what amount should be reported as ADA? Alright, so tingnan natin, 200,000 plus 50,000 plus 400,000 minus 100,000. Final answer mo dyan, 550,000. Dog for number 3. Number 3 is stock. Again, pag percentage of sales, dito mo lalagay yan. Pag percentage of AR and aging, ending balance dapat yan. Okay? So let's go to number 4. For this one, percentage of AR. Tingnan natin class kung paano yung treatment dyan. What amount should be reported as doubtful account expense or budget expense? Ingat ka rin sa question because sometimes ang question, ending balance ng ADA. Parang yung number 3 natin. Sometimes ang question, how much yung budget expense, which is itong number 4. Sige, so, tingnan ulit tayo ng ADA. AB company reported the following unadjusted balances at year-end. AR natin, meron tayong 3 million. ADA natin, take note, naka-debit 10,000. Pwede ba yun, sir? Mag-debit ka ng AR? Yes. Kapag sobra-sobra yung write-off mo, pwede nga mangyari dyan, debit balance yung ADA mo. Pero normal balance yan, isa credit. Pero i-follow natin, yun nasa problem. Lagay mo sa debit yan, 10,000. Net credit sales, 8 million. The entity estimated that 3% of gross AR would become uncollectible. Percentage of AR. Okay, how much yung AR dito? 3 million. Nakita mo yan? 3 million times 3%. Nakuha ko is 90,000. Again, pag percentage of AR, ending balance mo siya lalagay. Ending balance natin is 90,000. So, may debit ka ng 10, pero kailangan mo maging 90. Solve for X. Ibig sabihin, yung budget expense natin is 100,000. Debit budget expense, credit ADA, 100,000 boy for number 4. Let's go to number 5. Ito naman yung aging of AR. Tingnan natin yung question. Under the aging method, what amount of uncollectible account expense should be reported for the current year? Let's read the given. DF company provided the following information in relation to accounts receivable at year-end. Days outstanding, or yan yung past due natin. And then, meron tayong uncollectible. Basically, multiply lang natin yan to get the ADA. Alright? So, 1.2 million times 1%, you have 12,000. Next, 900,000 times 2%, you have 18,000. And last one, 1 million times 6%, you have 60,000. Okay? So, add natin yan. 12 plus 18 plus 60,000. Nakuha ko dito class, 90,000. Alright? So, alam natin, sabi ko kapag aging of AR, gawa tayo ng T-account natin for ADA, ending balance yan. 90,000, ilagay mo yan sa ending balance natin. Ano ba ulit yung question sa atin? How much daw yung budget expense, right? During the year, the entity wrote off, nag-write off. So, debit mo yan, 70,000. The accounts receivable and recovered 20,000. I-credit mo 20,000. That had been written off in the prior years. At the beginning of the current year, the allowance for doubtful accounts, 60,000. So, lagay mo dito, 60,000. And then, let's solve for X. Okay, so lagay ko dyan, 90,000 plus 70,000. Ma-minus ko yung 60, minus 20. Sagot mo dito, class, 80,000. Boy for number 5. Debit budget expense, credit ADA, 80,000 boy. So, as you can see, kapag percentage of AR, aging of AR, yung resulting figure mo dyan, ending balance agad. Okay? Solve for XT account natin, yun yung budget expense. Pero pag percentage of sales, kung yung resulting figure mo dyan, automatic yun agad yung budget expense. Alright? That's for estimation of doubtful accounts. Let's continue your discussion. Let's go to notes receivable. Pag nagbenta tayo ng goods to our customers on account, evidence by a promissory note, we have a notes receivable. Yung accounting will depend if it's short-term or long-term. If it's short-term, meaning collectible within 1 year, the notes receivable is reported at face value. If it's long-term, meaning collectible beyond 1 year, kailangan natin i-present value. O check mo muna if it's interest-bearing or non-interest-bearing. If it's interest-bearing, we know the present value is just equal to the face value. If it's non-interest-bearing or unreasonably low interest rate, usually minimension sa problem yan, if unreasonably low interest rate, the present value is equal to the discounted value. And we know, kapag sinabing discounted value, below face value yan. Alright? Let's now go to loans receivable. Loans receivable, isipin mo lang, para siyang accounts receivable, pero point of view of a bank or banko. Now, a difference between loans receivable and notes receivable, for loans receivable, usually meron yan transaction costs. Ang tawag natin doon, origination fees or origination costs. Okay? The accounting will depend. Kapag yung origination fees or costs na-receive, or ibig sabihin, deducted in advance, take note na point of view tayo ni bank. Okay? So, dinadak na agad natin dun sa ipapa-loan natin kay borrower, o i-minus mo yan sa loans receivable. Kasi basically, nasingil na natin, binawas na natin. So, minus yan kapag receive, right? Kapag incurred, kapag tayo yung gumastos, tignan mo muna if it's direct or indirect. If direct, sisingilin natin yan kay borrower. So, plus yan. If indirect, expense naman yan. Alright? Now, let's go to impairment. For impairment of loans receivable, basically, compare lang natin yung carrying amount of the loans receivable and the present value of future cash flows. You get the impairment loss. Yung carrying amount consists of the principal plus the accrued or unpaid interest. Right? Pag sinabi mo namang present value of future cash flows, well, kailangan natin mag-discount, mag-present value. Like ko ina-highlight, ang gagamitin mo dyan is the original effective rate. Okay? Original effective rate. Sige, so apply muna natin yung concepts. Let's answer our handouts. Number 1. On July 1 of the current year, an entity obtained a 2-year 8% notes receivable for services rendered. Ang tawag natin sa 8% nominal rate. Okay? At that time, the market rate of interest was 10%. So, yan yung effective rate. The face amount of note and the entire amount of interest are due on date of maturity. Interest receivable on December 31 is, take note, July 1. You obtain yung note. Ang tanong is December 31. So 6 months, okay? I-divide natin by 2 yung rates na given sa atin. Ang tanong sa atin, interest receivable. We know ang basis niyan yung nominal rate. So ang sagot mo dyan, 8% divided by 2, that's 4%. Boy for number 1, 4% of the face amount of the note. Okay? Pag ang tanong sa atin, interest income, ang sagot mo dyan is letter C. Okay? 5% of the present value of the note. Huwag ka malilito doon. Pag interest receivable or interest received based on nominal amount or nominal rate. Kapag interest income naman based on the effective rate. Okay? So, let's go to number 1 is boy. Let's go to number 2. In calculating the carrying amount of the loans receivable, the lender adds to the principal. Alin yung ina-add natin? Add mo yung na-incur. Alright? So, A, direct loan, origination cost incurred by the lender. Tingnan natin yung ibang choices. B, indirect loan, origination cost. Pag indirect, expense yan. Letter C, loan origination fee charged to the borrower. Ito yung receive. Yan yung dineduct natin in advance. Na-charge mo na sa borrower yan, nabawas mo na. Therefore, bawas na yan sa loans receivable. Right? Interest incurred, expense yan. Number 3, if there is an evidence that an impairment loss on loan receivable has been incurred, the loss is equal to the excess of the carrying amount of the loan receivable over the present value of cash flows to the loan. Letter A for number 3. Yun yung impairment loss natin. Let's go to numbers 4 to 7. So this is about notes receivable. Okay, let's read the given. On December 31, XYZ sold an equipment with the carrying amount of 2 million and received a non-interest-bearing note requiring payment of 500,000 annually for 10 years. Pag non-interest-bearing, sabi ko dyan, i-discount natin siya. Right? So, tingnan natin. The prevailing rate of interest, bigyan tayo ng present value of 1 at 12% and present value of ordinary annuity. Ano gagamitin mo dyan? Sabi dyan yung 500,000 annually for the next 10 years. Right? So, ibig sabihin, ordinary annuity yung magiging basis natin. So, for number 4, on December 31, which is basically dyan tayo nagbenta ng equipment, what is the carrying amount of the notes receivable? 500,000. Multiply lang natin siya by 5.65. Okay, 500,000 times 5.65, you get 2,825,000. Answer natin for number 4 is letter D, 2,825,000. Number 5, what is the gain on sale of equipment to be recognized in 2025? Lalagyan ko ng journal entry. Debit notes receivable at face value, 5 million. Credit and earned interest income, which is the difference between the face value and the present value. So 5 million minus 2,825,000, yung UII natin is 2,175,000. What is the carrying amount of the equipment? Nakalagay dyan sa problem, that is 2 million yung carrying amount. Credit natin yung equipment, 2 million. Balancing figure natin is gain or loss. 5 million minus 2,175,000 minus 2 million. Answer natin, gain na 825,000. For question number 5, letter C, 825,000. Number 6, what amount of interest income should be recognized for 2026? Tandaan mo, kapag interest income yung tanong, carrying amount times the effective rate. Alright? Ano yung carrying amount natin? 2,825,000. Effective rate natin in the problem, nakalagay dyan, 12%. Alright, so let's compute 2,825,000 times 12%. Answer mo dyan is 339,000. Letter, boy for number 6. Number 7, what is the carrying amount of notes receivable on December 31, 2026 after 1 year? Pwede kang gumawa ng partial amortization table. So meron tayong received, meron tayong interest income, okay, we have amortization, and we have carrying amount. So we know yung carrying amount natin is 2,825,000. After 1 year, naka-receive tayo ng, nakalagay dyan, 500,000 per year. Tama? So receive 500,000. Interest income natin is 339,000. Difference between the two, 500,000 minus 339, ito yung amortization or ito yung applicable sa principal. I-minus mo yan sa 2,825,000. Final answer mo dito, 2,664,000. Because, syempre, nagbabayad ka na 500,000 per year, bumababa yung carrying amount natin. Letter D, 2,664,000. Let's go to numbers 8, 9, and 10. Loans receivable naman tayo, okay? Number 8, what is carrying amount of the loans receivable? So let's read the given. ABC Bank granted the loan to a borrower on January 1. The interest of the loan is 10%, payable annually starting December 31. The loan matures in 3 years on December 31. Meron tayong principal amount, so tingnan natin. Number 8, yung loans receivable natin is 5 million. Direct origination cost incurred, sabi ko kayo na kapag incurred, ano gagawin natin? Direct daw, i-add mo yan, plus 100,000. Indirect origination cost incurred, expense yan, right? Origination fee received from the borrower. Pag received from the borrower, dineduct mo na in advance yan. So, i-minus mo yan. Huwag mo na sisingilin si borrower kasi nasingil mo na siya. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, i-record natin yung loans receivable, 5 million, plus 100,000, minus 340, 4,760,000. Easy. Ayan. 4,760,000. Paano yung presentation yan? Meron tayong loans receivable na 5 million, and earned interest income, dapat yung carrying amount mo is 4,760,000. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, 5 million minus 4,760,000, mayroon tayong UII na 240,000. Ganyan yung presentation niya. Let's go to number 9. What is the interest income for 2025? Alam natin, class, pag interest income, it's just the carrying amount, 4,760,000. Multiply natin by the effective rate of 12%. 4,760,000 times 12%. Answer natin, 571,200. Question number 9 is letter A, 571,200. Okay. What is the carrying amount of the loans receivable on December 31, 2025? Journal entry naman papakita ko sa inyo. Tama ba? 10% daw yung interest. Right? So 10% of 5 million, debit cash, credit interest income, 5 million. Or times 10%, which is 500,000. Right? And then, mag-amortize tayo. Okay? So paano yan? Meron tayong marireceive na 500,000, mali-receive natin yan. Interest income natin is 571,200. So, ibig sabihin, meron pa tayong entry, amortize natin, tama? Debit UII, credit interest income, difference between the two, 571,200 minus 500,000, 71,200. Yun yung entries natin for the amortization. Now, ang goal natin, yung 4,760, eventually, maging 5 million. So, ibig sabihin, 4,760 plus mo yung 71,200, ano yung makuha mo dyan? 4,760,000 plus 71,200, answer natin, letter C, 4,831,200. 4,831,200, that's for question number 10. Okay, numbers 11, 12, and 13, impairment naman tayo. So, number 11, ang tanong sa ating class is, what is the impairment loss? What's the interest income and the carrying amount? Let's say the given. GHA Bank loaned 9 million to a borrower on January 1, 2023. The terms of the loan were payment in full on January 1, 2028 plus interest of 12%. Okay? The interest payment was made as scheduled on January 1, 2024. However, due to financial setbacks, the borrower was unable to make the 2025 interest payments. The bank considered the loan impaired and projected the cash flows from the loan on December 31. The bank has accrued the interest. Ano yung importance nun? Sa carrying amount, isasama mo yung accrued interest. Okay? On December 31, 2024, but did not continue to accrue interest for 2025 due to the impairment. The projected cash flows are, alright, so gagawin ko lang dyan, difference between the carrying amount and the present value. Okay, so carrying amount natin, how much yung principal natin dito, class? Principal natin is 9 million. So 9 million, and then plus accrued interest. Accrued interest natin for isang taon lang, 9 million times 12%, that is 1,080,000. So 9 million minus 1,080,000, our carrying amount is 10,080,000. Compare natin yan sa present value of future cash flows. I-multiply lang natin, class. Meron tayong amount projected, and then meron tayong present value factor. So gawin ko lang dyan, 1.5 million times present value of 1 at 12% na 0.89 times 0.89, you have 1,335,000. 1,335,000 plus 2 million times yung 0.8, okay, 1.6 million. So ginagawa ko, class, yung cash flows, minumultiply ko lang by the PV factors. 2.5 million, multiply natin by 0.71, makuha natin dyan is 1,775,000. And then last one, 3 million times 0.64, you get 1,920,000. So add natin yan, lahat. 1,335,000 plus 1.6 million plus 1,775,000 plus 1,920,000, you get 6,630,000. This is the present value of future cash flows. Cash flow, 6,630,000. Difference between the two is the impairment loss, 10,080,000 minus 6,630,000, 3,450,000. Impairment loss natin, letter B, 3,450,000. Let's go to number 12. What's the interest income? Laging carrying amount times the effective rate. But take note, after the impairment loss, carrying amount muna is at present value. 6,630,000. Multiply natin by, what is the effective rate here? 12%. Multiply by 12%. 6,630,000 times 12%. Interest income natin is 795. 600, letter A. Number 13, what is the carrying amount of the loan receivable on December 31, 2026? Ang na-receive natin on December 31, 2026 is 1.5 million. Diba? So yung 1.5 million na yung, class, merong principal component and may interest component yan. Doon mo tayo sa interest component, which is yung answer natin from the previous question, 795,600. So ibig sabihin, 1.5 million minus 795,600, yung principal component is 704,400. Okay, so gagawin ko dyan, yung carrying amount natin after impairment is 6,630,000. Tama? And then after, ito yung December 31, 2025. Now, nagbayad na 1.5 million. Principal component niya is 704,400. Minus natin, 704,400. Ibig sabihin, carrying amount natin, December 31, 2026, 6,630,000 minus 704,400, you have 5,925, 600. Answer natin, class, letter A for number 13. Okay, so that's for notes receivable, loans receivable, and impairment. Let's now go to receivable financing. Meron tayong 4 types. Pledging, assignment, factoring, and discounting. Doon muna tayo sa pledging. Pag sabing pledging, magbabaro tayo sa bank, ipe-pledge natin yung accounts receivable. So basically, parang siyang security or collateral. Alright? Now, ano yung effect ng pledging in our financial statements? First, wala kang journal entry. No journal entry. And yung pledged receivable natin, still part of total accounts receivable. Alright? So, ang gagawin mo lang, class, kapag pledging, i-disclose lang natin yan. Disclosure lang in the notes to financial statements. So, walang any complications kapag pledging. Walang entry. Yung pledged AR natin, still part of total AR, and disclosure lang. I-describe lang natin na meron tayong pledged transaction. Alright? Now, let's go to assignment. Kapag assignment, parang pledge din siya, pero mas formal yan. Alright? Kaya 2 types tayo na assignment. Notification and non-notification. Pag sinabi mo notification, si customer, nino-notify natin na nagkaroon tayo ng assignment. Alright? Now, kapag with a bank, kapag notification, si customer, diretso kay bank na siya magbabayad. Okay? Si bank naman, magre-report na lang sa atin. Tayo si entity. Okay? Si customer pays the bank. Si bank naman, magre-report sa atin. Reports to the entity. Yun yung notification. Kapag non-notification, hindi natin in-inform si customer na merong assignment. In that case, si customer, sa atin pa rin magbabayad. Okay? Kay entity pa rin, pays the entity. Pag nabayaran tayo ni customer, then tsaka natin babayaran yung loan natin kay bank. Alright? So, ganyan yung notification and non-notification. Now, ano yung effect sa financial statements? First, meron tayong reclassification entry. Ano yung reclassification natin? Debit AR assigned. Credit AR. Okay? So, nireclass natin yung AR to AR assigned. Pero yung AR assigned, still part of your total accounts receivable. Part pa rin yan, ha? Okay, next. Ano pa? Meron tayong disclosure in the notes to financial statements. Meron tayong AR assigned, less notes payable, kasi nga, umuutang tayo sa bank. We have equity in assigned accounts. Again, para malaman natin yung formula na yan, AR assigned is assets, notes payable is liability, equity in assigned account is equity. So, assets, AR assigned, minus notes payable liability, you have equity in assigned accounts. Okay? So, yun yung effect kapag assignment. Let's now go to factoring. Dalawa yan. Without recourse or with recourse. Pag sinabi mong factoring, binibenta natin yung accounts receivable to a factor. Yung factor, usually bank din yan. Okay? Again, without recourse or with recourse. Kapag without recourse, basically, without liability. Okay? Meron tayong absolute transfer of risk and rewards. Okay? Ibig sabihin, wala na tayong liability. Kahit hindi magbayad yung customer, dun sa factor or sa bank, wala na tayong any other obligation. Pag with recourse, meron tayong liability. Alright? Kapag nag-default si customer. Now, may two types pa yung factoring. Meron tayong casual factoring and regular means of financing. Kapag casual factoring, paminsan-minsan lang tayo nagpo-factor. Right? So, ibig sabihin, in this case, magre-recognize tayo ng loss on factoring. Kapag loss on factoring, i-compare mo lang yung proceeds na na-receive natin from the factor minus the carrying value. Okay? Pag regular means of financing, or ibang tawag dyan, continuing agreement, lagi natin ginagawa. Instead of loss, i-charge natin yan sa OPEX. Okay? So, ganun na siya. Ganun yung difference siya. And in factoring, meron din tayong concept dito na factors holdback. Factors holdback, i-withhold mo na ni factor yung percentage of the proceeds, ibabalik sa'yo yan once fully na-collect na ni factor yung accounts receivable. Alright? So, yun yung factoring natin. Next, last one is discounting. Pag sabi mo discounting, basically, ini-encash na natin yung notes receivable before pa mag-maturity. Okay? Paano natin ma-compute kung magkano yung proceeds upon discounting? May formula tayo. Maturity value minus discount, you get the net proceeds. Okay? Dalawa din yan. Parang factoring din yan. Meron tayong without recourse or with recourse. Kapag without recourse, meron tayong absolute transfer of risk and rewards. Okay? So kapag absolute, pwede na tayo mag-derecognize ng notes receivable. So i-credit natin yung notes receivable. Ganoon na siya. Credit notes receivable, mag-derecognize tayo. Ngayon, pag with recourse, dalawang klase yan. Conditional sale or secured borrowing. Kapag conditional sale, meron tayong contingent liability. Mag-credit tayo sa journal entry natin, credit notes receivable discounted. Kapag secured borrowing, magre-recognize tayo ng liability. Meron tayong credit liability on notes receivable discounted. So, ulitin ko class. Kapag discounting, kapag without recourse, notes receivable yung credit mo. Kapag conditional sale, notes receivable discounted. Kapag secured borrowing, mag-recognize tayo ng liability. Yung presentation ng notes receivable discounted in the balance sheet, meron kang total notes receivable minus notes receivable discounted. Ganun yung presentation niya. Okay. Sige. Let's apply the concepts. Punta tayo sa handouts natin. Let's go to receivable financing number 1. If accounts receivable is pledged against borrowing, the amount of accounts receivable pledged should be, sabi ko kanina, still part of the total accounts receivable. Letter C, included in total receivables with disclosure. Disclose mo lang yung details ng pledge. Number 2, it is a financing arrangement whereby one party formally transfers rights to accounts receivable to another party in consideration for a loan. That's assignment. Okay? Pag assignment, meron kang notification and non-notification. Number 3, which of the following statement is true? When accounts receivable is factored without recourse. Ano ibig sabihin na without recourse? Without liability. Ibig sabihin, merong absolute transfer of risks and rewards. A, the transaction will be accounted for either secured borrowing or sale depending upon the substance of the transaction. Hindi. Pag secured borrowing, more of discounting yan, hindi yan factoring. B, the accounts receivable are used as collateral for a promissory note issued to the factor, no. C, the factor assumes the risk of collectability and absorbs any credit losses in collecting the accounts receivable. That's correct. Letter C yan. Kasi without recourse So, kay factor na yung risk. Okay? So, C for number 3. Number 4, if a note receivable is discounted with recourse, okay, on a conditional sale. Kapag conditional sale, nagkikredit tayo ng notes receivable discounted. Boy yung sagot mo dyan. Notes receivable discounted is credited. Okay? Kapag naman nakalagay dyan, secured borrowing, C naman yung sagot mo. Liability for notes receivable discounted is credited. So, boy tayo for number 4. Let's go to the problem solving. Next 3 items. This is about assignment. Okay? So, number 5, what amount of cash was received from the assignment? And number 6, what is the carrying amount of the notes payable? And number 7 is equity in assigned accounts. Let's read the given. On December 1, take note, December 1 hindi January 1, yung given sa problem. CPA company assigned specific accounts receivable totaling 5 million as collateral on a 4 million note from a bank, 12%. Again, ang tanong sa number 5 is yung cash daw na na-receive natin from the assignment. The entity will continue to collect the assigned accounts. Ano tawag doon? Non-notification. Si entity pa rin, tayo pa rin yung magko-collect from the customer. Alright, in addition to the interest on the note, the bank also charged a 5% finance fee deducted in advance on the assigned amount. So again, kapag assignment, maglo-loan tayo. How much yung notes payable or loans payable natin? 4 million. Pero may fee yan, which is 5%. Tama? 4 million or 5 million, sabi, the 5% finance fee deducted in advance on the assigned amounts. How much yung in-assign natin? 5 million. 5 million times 5%, yung fee natin is 250,000. So yung fee is 250,000, meaning yung proceeds natin from the loan, from the assignment, 4 million minus 250,000. Sagot mo dyan, 3,750,000, dog for number 5. Number 6, what is the carrying amount of the notes payable on December 31? Mag-T account tayo. Tama ba? Notes payable natin, beginning balance natin is 4 million. Credit natin yan. Okay, so let's continue reading. Doon sa second paragraph, the December collections of assigned accounts receivable amounting to 2 million. So yung collections natin, 2 million daw. Right? Less cash discount of 200,000. So lagay natin cash discount, 200,000. Siyempre, bawas yan. On December 31, the entity remitted the collections on the bank in payment for the interest accrued and the notes payable. So yung collections natin, binayaran daw niyan, interest and principal. Tama? So i-minus muna natin yan. 2 million minus 200, 1.8 million. Merong portion dyan na principal, merong interest. How much yung interest? Computin natin. 4 million times 12% yung interest rate. Take note na December 1, ang tanong December 31. So 1 month lang. Times 1 over 12. Yung interest natin dito class 4 million times 12%, divide by 12, you have 40,000. Alright? So ibig sabihin class, yung 1.8 million na net collections natin, 40,000 mapupunta sa principal, 1.8 million minus 40,000 mapupunta sa interest, 40,000 mapupunta sa interest, sa principal, 1.8 million minus 40, that's 760,000. I-debit natin yan sa notes payable. Ibig sabihin, 4 million beginning balance minus 1,760,000, balance ng notes payable natin is 40,000, letter C. Number 7, what amount should be disclosed as the equity in assigned accounts? Equity in assigned accounts, assets, AR assigned, minus liability, notes payable, you have equity in assigned accounts. Okay tayo sa notes payable. Doon naman tayo sa AR assigned. I-account din tayo. Number 7, AR assigned natin. AR assigned, beginning balance is 5 million. Tama? Yun yung amount na in-assign natin, 5 million. And then, sabi dyan sa problem, nakakollect tayo ng 2 million. Tama? Ito yun. So, i-minus mo yan sa AR natin. Next. Next natin is, punta ka dun sa last sentence. The entity accepted sales returns of 100,000 and root of assigned accounts of 300. Bawas yan. Okay, so minus 200, or sorry, minus 100,000 yung na-return natin and yung ni-write-off natin is 300,000. Okay, let's compute. 5 million minus 2 million minus 100,000 minus 300,000. AR assigned natin, 2.6 million. Disclosure natin, meron tayong AR assigned na 2.6 million minus notes payable, which is 40,000. Compute natin from the previous question. Therefore, yung equity in assigned accounts natin, 2.6 million minus 40,000. Sagot mo dyan, 360,000. Letter C, 360,000. Okay, so that's for assignment. Let's go to factoring. Numbers 8, 9, and 10. Okay, number 8, what is the amount of cash initially received from the factoring or yung net proceeds natin? Number 9, if all accounts are collected, what is the loss on factoring? Number 10, if all accounts are not collected, okay, what is the loss on factoring? So, tingnan natin. Again, pag factoring, nagbebenta tayo ng accounts receivable to a factor, right? BSA company factored 6 million of AR to a finance entity at the beginning of the year. Control was surrendered. The factor accepted the accounts receivable subject to recourse for non-payment. Nasaan yun? Recourse. Ito yun. With recourse. Ibig sabihin, with liability. Pag hindi nagbayad si customer, dun sa factor, tayo yung magbabayad dun sa factor. Right? Next, the fair value of the recourse obligation is 100,000. The factor assessed a fee of 3%. So compute natin yung 8. For number 8, ang tanong is proceeds. Yung total AR factored natin is 6 million. And then, may fee tayo na 3%. O, computin natin yan. 6 million times 0.03, you have 180,000. So, minus 180,000, yung fee natin or service charge. Meron tayong factors holdback. Factors holdback, ibabalik din sa atin yan. Kapag nakolek na yung buong AR, 5% daw. So, 6 million times 5%, that is 300,000. Ibawas muna natin yan. In addition, the factor charged 15% interest computed on the weighted average time to maturity, 54 days. So, ibig sabihin, sinarge tayo ng interest. Alright, so let's compute. 5 million times 15% times 54 over 365. You have 110. Ulit natin. 6 million times 15% times 54 days divided by 365. Nakuha ko dito, 133,150. 133,150. Okay, so yung proceeds natin from factoring, let's compute. 6 million minus 180,000 minus 300,000 minus 133,150. You get 5386, 850, letter B or boy for number 8. If all the accounts are collected, what is the loss on factoring? Okay, pag nakolek lahat, ibabalik na sa atin yung factors holdback. Tama ba yan? So, ibig sabihin, yung loss natin, yung nawala sa atin, yung fee na 180,000 and yung interest na 133,150. Okay? So, 180,000 plus 133,150, you have 313,150. So, meron tayong loss na 313,150, letter A. Alright? Now, 10. If all accounts are not collected, if hindi natin na-collect, how much daw yung loss natin? Well, ano yung mawawala sa atin? Wala na sa atin yung fee kasi na-deduct na yan in advance, 180. Wala na rin yung interest, na-deduct na rin yan in advance. So loss na yan, 133,150. What else? Yung recourse obligation. Punta ka sa first paragraph, last sentence, the fair value of the recourse obligation. Basically, yan yung estimate natin na ibabayad natin kay factor pag nag-default yung customers. Okay? Recourse obligation na 100,000. Add natin yan, 180,000 plus 133,150 plus 100,000. Answer mo dito, class, 413,150. Letter C for number 10. Yung fee and interest, laging part na ng loss yan kasi chinarge niyan ni factor sa loss na yan. Okay? So, ganun siya kapag ang assumption dyan, casual factoring, no? Now, pag regular means of financing naman, operating expense naman. So, specifically, i-charge mo siya sa service charge expense and interest expense. So, ganun lang din. So, instead na loss on factoring yung gagamitin mo account, okay? Kapag regular means of financing, gagawin mo lang service charge expense and interest expense. Ganun lang siya. Pero yung amount is the same, yung presentation lang. Okay, so for number 10, letter C, 413,150. Numbers 11 and 12. So, tingnan natin. This is about discounting. Okay, so number 11, what amount was received from the notes receivable discounting on April 1, 2025? And number 12, what amount should be recognized as loss on notes receivable discounting? Let's say the given. On April 1, 2025, CBA company discounted with recourse 9-month, 10% note dated January 1, 2025 with face value of 6 million. Tama ba, class? Yung date ng note is January 1. Tama? So, lagyan natin dito. For number 11, so yung date is January 1, and then kailan siya diniscount? Diniscount siya April 1. So, ibig sabihin, class, diniscount siya after 3 months. Tama? And then yung total, yung term is 9 months. Okay, so lagyan natin 9 months. Okay, the discounting transaction is accounted for as a conditional sale with recognition of contingent liability. And ibig sabihin, pag nag-entry tayo, meron tayong credit notes receivable discounted. Contingent liability yan. Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-default si customer, magbabayad tayo. Ganun siya. Okay, what amount was received from notes receivable discounting? Apply lang natin yung formula, maturity value minus discount. You get the proceeds. Paano yung maturity value? Ibig sabihin, yung total amount of the principal plus the interest. Okay? Principal natin dito is how much? Principal is 6 million. Okay? And then yung interest natin, since 9 months siya, 6 million times 10% times 9 over 12. How much yung interest natin at maturity? 6 million times 9% times, 6 million times 10% times 9 over 12. Okay? Interest natin is 450,000. Ibig sabihin, class, yung maturity value or yung value of the note after 9 months is 6,450,000. I-minus natin yung discount. Paano computin yung discount? Maturity value, 6,450,000. Multiply natin sa discount rate. Ano yung discount rate dito? 12%. So, take note, class, sa maturity value, syempre yung coupon rate ang gagamitin mo. Sa discount, syempre yung discount rate na 15%. And yung remaining term, okay? Tama ba? Yung date niyan is January 1. Discount April 1. So, 3 months yan. 9 months yung total. Nakalipas na yung 3 months. So, yung remaining term natin is 6 months. Times 6 over 12, computin natin. 6,450,000. Times 12%. Times 6 over 12. You get 387,000. Yung discount mo, 387,000. Ibig sabihin, class, yung proceeds natin, maturity value na 6,450,000 minus discount na 387,000. Answer mo dyan, 6,063,000. Letter A for number 11. Number 12. What amount should be recognized as loss on notes receivable discounting? Well, ang gagawin ko lang dyan, meron tayong proceeds na 6,063,000. Yung sinurrender mo yung carrying value of the notes receivable. Ano yung carrying value? Well, meron kang principal plus yung accrued interest from January 1 to April 1. Tama, may interest receivable ka dyan. Computin natin, 6 million times 10% times 3 over 12. 6 million times 10% times 3 over 12. Accrued interest mo is 150,000. So, ibig sabihin, 6 million plus 150, that's 6,150,000. So, na-receive mo is 6,063,000. Ang sinurrender mo is 6,150,000. Therefore, meron tayong loss. 6,063,000 minus 6,150,000, 87,000 loss on discounting. Letter C for number 12. Okay? So, that's for receivable financing. Let's go to inventory. For inventory naman, class, ang tanong lang usually dito kung ano yung i-include natin or i-exclude. Alright? And we know, we include the inventory as part of our inventory if we have the legal title. Okay? So, kailan tayo may legal title? Well, kapag owned and on hand natin yung inventory and kapag in transit siya, pag goods in transit, pero depending on the shipping terms. Alright? So, ano yung shipping terms natin? FOB shipping point or FOB destination. Tingnan natin, class, kung ano mangyayari dyan. Kapag in transit, yung goods, sino yung may-ari ng goods? Pag sabing in transit, on the way pa lang. Alright? Now, kapag FOB shipping point, well, in transit na-ship na. Kanino yung goods na yan? Kay buyer na yan. Hindi na yan kay seller. Okay? If FOB destination, in transit na, kay seller pa rin yan. Hindi yan kay buyer. Okay? So, yun yung rules natin for the shipping terms. Now, dalawa yung klase na system in inventory. We have the periodic system and perpetual system. Basically, sa recording purposes yan. Ano yung difference between the two? Kapag periodic, gagamit tayo ng accounts such as purchases, purchase discounts, purchase allowances, purchase returns, freight in, and so on and so forth. Yun yung mga ginagamit natin na account titles. Okay? Now, pag perpetual, mas simple. Instead na yan yung gamitin mo, lahat yan, i-charge mo to an inventory account. Alright? And pa-difference of perpetual, every sale, entry mo dyan, debit AR, credit sales, meron kang isa pang entry, debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory. Okay? So, yung debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory, applicable lang yan kapag perpetual system. Kapag periodic, wala kang ganyan upon sale. Alright? Ano pa difference between the two? Kapag periodic, pag mag-compute tayo ng cost of goods sold, meron tayong formula. Beginning inventory, plus purchases, plus freight in, minus discounts, allowances, returns, you have cost of goods available for sale, minus ending inventory, you have cost of goods sold. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, pag periodic, kailangan may formula ka to compute for the cost of goods sold. Unlike perpetual, every sale, nag-e-entry ka na ng cost of goods sold. So, ibig sabihin, monitor natin yung balance ng cost of goods sold natin. So, there's a difference between periodic and perpetual. Let's answer our handouts. Inventory. Inventories include all of the following except, okay, A, held for sale in the ordinary course of business, yes. B, in the process of production or sale or your work in process, yes. C, in the form of materials or supplies to be consumed in the production, yes. D, held for use in the production or supply of goods or services, mali. PPE yung D, so dog yung mali dyan, except dog. Number 2, which of the following should be included in inventory at the end of reporting period? A, goods in transit, which purchase FOB shipping point. Sabi ko kanina, kapag FOB shipping point in transit, kay buyer yan, yes, included yan. So, A na yung sagot natin. Tingnan natin ibang choices. B, goods in transit, receive, or which were purchased, FOB destination, hindi. So, kapag na-receive na natin, sa atin na yung goods. Pag in transit, hindi pa. C, goods received from another entity on consignment. Pag tayo si consignee, hindi natin yung goods, okay, kay consignor yan. D, goods in transit to a customer which were sold to the customer FOB shipping point. Pag na-ship na natin, tayo si seller, hindi na sa atin yung goods na yun. Kaya A yung sagot natin dyan. Number 3, which of the following is a characteristic of a perpetual inventory system? Letter C yung sagot mo dyan. Cost of goods sold is recorded with each sale. Kapag perpetual system, AR sales, and then may corresponding entry ka, debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory. Yung A, inventory purchases are debited to purchase account. B, inventory records are not kept. And dog, cost of goods sold is determined as the amount of purchases less the change in inventory. Ito yan. So yung A, B, and dog, periodic yan. Yung C, perpetual, C yung sagot mo for number 3. Let's go to number 4. What should be reported as inventory December 31, 2025? Let's read the given. Sabi dyan, Mr. Accounting Company reported inventory on December 31 at 6 million. Okay? Based on physical count of goods, price at cost, and before any necessary year-end adjustment. So gawin ko dyan, for number 4, yung unadjusted balance sa ating class is 6 million. Take note nakalagay based on physical count and before any adjustment. So hindi pa na-consider yung, or tingnan natin kung na-consider na or hindi pa. Bullet number 1, included in the physical count, kasama daw dito sa 6 million, goods billed to customer FOB shipping point on December 31. These goods had a cost of 125,000 and were picked up by the carrier on January 10. Ibig sabihin class niyan, na-ship siya January 10. Okay, hindi pa na-ship. So sa atin pa rin yung goods niyan kasi tayo si seller. Tama lang yung ginawa dun sa bullet number 1. So wala ka adjustment sa bullet 1. Bullet number 2, goods shipped FOB shipping point on December 28 from a vendor or from a supplier, ibig sabihin buyer point of view, were received on January 4. The invoice cost was 300,000. So sa atin na yan. Kasi na shipping point, pag na-ship, sa atin na yan. Pag tayo si buyer. Based on physical count. So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa naka-include sa 6 million yan. Add natin, plus, how much yan? Plus 300,000. Therefore, sagot natin dito, plus 6.3 million for number 4, letter dog. Letter D. Number 5, what amount should be reported as inventory? Let's read the given. AB company reported inventory at 2.5 million. So, yun yung unadjusted natin, 2.5 million. And based on physical count, before necessary adjustments. Bullet number 1, merchandise costing 100,000 ship FOB shipping point from a vendor. Ingat ka kung kayo ng point of view, kay buyer or seller. Dito kay buyer kasi from a vendor, from the supplier. On December 30, was received and recorded on January 5 FOB shipping point. Sa atin na dapat yan, plus 100,000. Next, goods in transit, goods in the shipping area were excluded from inventory although shipment was not paid until January 5. The goods billed to the customer, FOB shipping point, hindi pa na-ship. O sa'yo yan, in-exclude. So, ibig sabihin, add natin 400,000. 2.5 million plus 100 is 2.6 plus 400. You have 3 million. Sagot natin for number 5 is letter D, 3 million. Easy. Okay, next, what amount of inventory should be reported on December 31? Let's see the given. A physical count on December 31 revealed that XYZ company had inventory cost of 410,000. Lagyan natin, unadjusted, 410,000. Okay? The following items were excluded. So, ingat ka, nakalagay in-exclude daw. So, tingnan natin. Bullet number 1, merchandise of 610 is held by XYZ on consignment. Tayo si consignee. Okay? So, tama lang na in-exclude siya. So, walang adjustment. Number 2, merchandise costing 380,000 was shipped by XYZ. Tayo yung nag-ship, tayo si seller, FOB destination to a customer. The customer is expected to receive the goods on January 5. Sa atin pa rin yan kasi hindi pa naman nare-receive ng customer. In-exclude daw. So, kasi nakalagay dun sa taas, lahat daw ng items na yan, in-exclude. So, dapat i-include natin yan. So, plus 380,000. Let's go to number 3. Merchandise costing 460 was shipped by XYZ to a customer, FOB shipping point. The customer was expected to receive the goods on January 10. Shipping point yan eh. So, upon shipment, kay customer na yan. So, ibig sabihin, ang ginawa dito, in-exclude. Tama lang na in-exclude yan. Number 4, bullet number 4, merchandise costing, 830,000. Shipped by a vendor, tayo naman si buyer. FOB destination, na-receive natin January 15. Tama lang na in-exclude yan. Okay? Because pag FOB destination, pag na-receive natin, doon pala natin i-include. So tama lang yan. Number 5, merchandise costing 510,000 purchased FOB shipping point. Shinip ni supplier December 31. Na-receive natin on January 5. Sa atin na yan. Na-ship na December 31. In-exclude daw. So plus 510,000. Let's compute for the adjusted balance. 410,000. Well, plus 380,000. Plus 510,000. Sagot natin yung class. 5.3 million. For number 6, answer natin is letter A. 5.3 million. Okay, so that's for inventory. Punta naman tayo sa cost formulas. Sir, ano ibig sabihin ng cost formulas? Ibig sabihin, class, paano natin malalaman kung how much yung ending inventory and cost of goods sold natin. Yung inventory to be reported in the balance sheet, cost of goods sold naman to be reported in the income statement. Meron tayong 3 cost formulas. Specific identification, FIFO, and weighted average. Focus tayo on FIFO and weighted average. FIFO, meron tayong tawag na FIFO periodic and FIFO perpetual. Meron tayong wave periodic and wave perpetual. Take note na yung FIFO periodic and wave periodic, same lang yung makukuha mo dyan na amount. Okay? So pag ang tanong sa problem, FIFO periodic or FIFO or wave periodic, kahit isa lang yung method na gamitin mo dyan, same amount yung makukuha mo dyan. Alright? Now, para ma-recall natin yan, sagot na tayo diretso dun sa handouts natin. Let's go to inventory cost formulas. Number 1 muna. Which of the following inventory methods reports most closely the current cost of inventory? Ano ibig sabihin yung class? Ibig sabihin, yung ending inventory daw natin, nare-reflect na yung mga recent or yung most recent purchases natin. Ang sagot natin sa number 1 is FIFO. Okay? First in, first out. Ibig sabihin, unang mong binili, yung unang mong ibibenta. Yung ending inventory mo ngayon, based dun sa mga most recent na binili mo. So nakalagay dyan, closely or reports most closely to the current cost of inventory. A, sagot dyan, FIFO. Number 2, cost of goods sold is the same under a periodic system and a perpetual system when an entity uses, kakasabi ko lang, kapag FIFO periodic and FIFO periodic and FIFO perpetual. So, sorry, mali ako dito kanina. So, ang same sa atin is FIFO periodic and FIFO perpetual. Alright, so yung dalawang check na yan. Pag ang tanong sa problem, FIFO periodic or FIFO perpetual, isang method lang ang gagamitin mo dyan because same lang yung amount na makukuha mo dyan. Alright, so again, correction. Ang same sa atin, FIFO periodic and FIFO perpetual. Sagot mo dyan, letter A. Kasi nakalagay, cost of goods sold is the same under a periodic system and a perpetual system when an entity uses FIFO. Alright, A. Number 3, inventory shall be measured at, alam natin, according to PAS2, LC and RV. Okay, so inventory natin, and the inventory subsequent measurement is lower of cost or net realizable value. Letter C for number 3. Okay, number 4, under a FIFO periodic system, how much is the ending inventory of item 1, 2, 3? Tingnan natin, ito na gagawin ko dyan. So yeah, the activity of item 1, 2, 3 during June is presented below. Meron tayong dates, may mga transactions tayo, number of units, and cost. Ang tanong sa problem class, how much daw yung ending inventory? So ang gagawin ko dyan, add ko yung mga purchases, i-minus ko yung mga sales. Okay, so compute natin class yung ending inventory in units. Sige, sabayan nyo ako mag-compute. Meron tayong 6,000 beginning, purchases plus 9,000, minus sales na 10,800, plus 14,400 na purchases, minus sales na 11,400, and then plus purchases na 4,800. Nakuha nyo ba yung 12,000? Okay, so 12,000 yung ending inventory natin in units. And then, sabi dyan, FIFO daw. So, ibig sabihin, yung most recent purchases natin, yun yung basis for ending inventory. So, ang gagawin ko dyan, class, tingnan mo natin. Yung most recent purchase natin is 4,800 units. How much yung bilhin natin dyan? 27, tama? Yung balance dyan, 12,000 minus 4,800, you have 7,200. Okay? So, yung next recent purchase natin, which is June 19, 14,400. So, pasok dun yung 7,200. How much yan? 26. Okay? So, add natin yan. 4,800 times 27, you have 129,600. Okay, 7,200 times 26, okay, 72 times 26, you have 187,200. So, add natin yan, 129,600 plus 187,200. Sagot mo dito, class, letter D, 316,800. Okay? Pag FIFO, nakalagay dyan, FIFO periodic. Paano, class, kung ang tanong dyan, FIFO perpetual? Anong magiging sagot mo dyan? Sabi ko kanina, FIFO periodic, FIFO perpetual, same yung sagot mo dyan. Kapag nakalagay FIFO perpetual, sagot mo rin is the same, 316,800. Okay, number 5. What is the weighted average cost of the inventory at year end? Okay, so ibig sabihin, class, wave naman tayo. Wave naman yung gagamitin natin. In this case, I think wave periodic yan. Okay, Pinnacle Company provided the following information for the current year. So meron tayong dates, meron tayong inventory, may purchases, may unit cost, and may total cost. Okay? The entity sold 400 units on June 25 and 400 on December 10. What is the average cost of the inventory at year end? So, count muna natin yung inventory. Tama ba, class? Meron tayong beginning na 200. Okay, lagay natin 200. Add mo yung purchases plus 300 plus 500, and then nagbenta tayo dalawang 400. Minus 400, minus 400. Tama ba, class? 200 yung ending inventory natin. Tama? And sabi dyan, weighted average. Kapag weighted average, ang formula dyan, cost of goods available for sale in pesos over cost of goods available for sale in units, and then multiply natin sa ending inventory. Okay? So ano ba yung cost of goods available for sale? Beginning inventory plus purchases. Punta ka doon sa last column. Nakita mo yung 300,000 beginning inventory, 300,000 plus yung purchases natin 525,000 plus 1 million, numerator mo is 1,825,000. Cost of goods sold in units naman, so yung number of units 200 plus purchases na 300 and 500, that's 1,000. So 1,825,000 divide by 1,000, so meron tayong 1,825 per unit. Okay? Na-compute natin 200 units, 1,825 times 200, you get 365,000. Sagot natin class, letter D, 365,000. Okay, next natin, erase ko ito kasi medyo mahaba kapag moving average. Kapag sinabing moving average, number 6, what's the moving average cost? Ibig sabihin nun, wave perpetual. Ito yung moving average. Kaya moving average, every time nagagalaw yung number of units natin, mag-update tayo ng unit cost. Pakita ko na lang para ma-recall nyo. Mr. Accounting Company provided the following data about the inventory for the month of January. So meron tayong mga dates, meron tayong beginning, may purchases, may sales, etc. May units, may unit cost, and may total cost. So gagawin ko dyan, meron tayong 3 columns, units, unit cost, and total cost. Start tayo with beginning inventory, January 1. Meron tayong 16,000 units. 140 unit cost, pag multiply mo yan, you have 240,000. Okay? Meron tayong purchase, noong January 5, ilang units yan? 4,000 units. So update natin, 16,000 plus 4,000, that's 20,000. And then binili natin siya, 150 per unit, so 4,000 times 150. Tama ba class? 600,000 yan. So 600,000. 240,000 plus 600,000, 2,840,000. Let's go to the next transaction. January 10, meron tayong sale na 15,000 units. Siyempre, negative yan. 20,000 minus 15, you have 5,000 remaining. Okay? So ang gagawin ko dyan class, 2,840,000, divide ko sa 20,000. 2,840, divide by 20,000, you have 142. Yun yung moving average. Naiiba yung unit cost natin. 142, multiply mo sa binenta natin na 15,000. You have 2,130,000. So, minus 2,130,000. Balansin natin, 2,840 minus 2,130. Okay, 2,840 minus 2,130, you have 710,000. Next transaction, take note class, noong January 15 and 16, merong purchase and may purchase return. Inet na natin yun. 20,000 minus 1,000, you have 19,000. 5,000 plus 19, 24,000. Compute natin yung unit cost natin updated, 710 minus 5,000. Or sorry, divide by 5,000, you have, ulit. Sorry, ano to? Purchases to. So, how much natin siya binili? 160 yung unit cost natin, tama? So 3.2 million yung purchases, minus natin 160,000, which is yung return, 3,040,000. Okay? So 3,040,000 plus 710, you have 3,750,000. 3,750,000 divide natin by number of units sa 24,000, updated unit cost mo is 156.25. Okay? Next, January 25, meron tayong sale and may sale return. Minus na natin agad yan. Sales natin 8,000, sales return 4,000. So gagawin ko dyan sa January 25 and 26, ininet ko na siya, minus 4,000. Therefore, number of units natin, 20,000 na lang. Okay, so 156.25 times natin sa 4,000. Pabawas mo dyan is 625,000. Okay, 3,750,000 minus 625,000, you have 3,125,000. And then ang tanong, what is the moving average cost of the inventory on January 31? Last one na. January 31, purchases natin is 30,000 units. So total natin is 50,000 units. And then, ang binili natin is worth 4.5 million. Okay? 4.5 million. Therefore, ang total inventory mo, ending inventory, 3,125,000 plus 4.5 million, you have 7,625,000. Answer natin, letter A for number 6, 7,625,000. Medyo matrabaho lang, pero kasi maraming transactions na nangyari. Kaya medyo matrabaho. Pero basically, pag sa moving average for every sale or purchase, ina-update natin yung table natin. Number of units, unit cost, and total cost, 7,625,000. Letter A for number 6. Okay, let's go to number 7. Apply natin class yung lower of cost or NRV. Pag sinabing NRV, pag sabing cost, basically, yun yung magkano natin na-produce or nabili yung inventory. So, okay na tayo sa cost. Pag sinabing NRV, ibig sabihin lang yung class, that's the selling price minus cost to sell. Yun yung formula. Selling price minus cost to sell. So, let's apply LCNRV. Punta tayo dun sa number 7. What is the measurement of inventory? Okay, an entity measured the inventory at the lower of cost or NRV. Data regarding the items in the inventory are as follows. Meron tayong historical cost. Okay, so gagamitin natin yan. Kasi again, LCNRV, lower of cost or yung historical cost or net realizable value. So gagamitin natin siya. Selling price, yes. Estimated cost to sell, yun siya. Cost to sell. Yes, isasama natin siya. Next is replacement cost and normal profit margin. Yung replacement cost and normal profit margin, ignore mo yan. Di yan kasama sa formula natin na LCNRV. So gagawin ko dyan class, gagawin ko is may marker tayo, meron tayong pens, and meron tayong highlighters. Okay? Isa-isahin natin siya. Compute natin yung cost and NRV. Ano yung cost ng marker given sa problem? 240,000. Yung pens, 188,000. Yung highlighter, 300,000. Okay? NRV, yung selling price, is cost to sell. Okay, marker muna tayo, 360,000 selling price. Cost to sell minus 48,000, you have 312,000. Okay, for the pens naman, 250 minus 50, that's 200,000. Okay, and then for the highlighters, 360,000 minus 68,000, you have 292,000. Piliin natin kung ano yung lower. So, doon tayo kay marker, 240. Kay pens, 188. Kay highlighter, 292. Total natin, 240,000 plus 188,000 plus 292,000. Sagot mo dyan, letter A, 720,000. Letter A na yung sagot mo sa 7. Para malaman mo yung entry, add mo lahat ng cost. Add natin yan, 240,000 plus 188,000 plus 300,000. You have 728,000. Tama? Now, 728, yun yung nakarecord sa books natin. Eh, magiging 720 na lang siya. Debit loss on inventory write-down, credit allowance on inventory write-down. 728 minus 720, you have 8,000. Pag tinanong ko how much yung loss natin, 8,000 yung sagot dyan. Alright, next. Let's go to inventory estimation. There are certain instances na kailangan natin mag-estimate ng inventory. We have two methods na acceptable. Gross profit method and retail inventory method. From the term name itself, gross profit method, gagamitin natin dyan, very important is the gross profit rate. Ang gross profit rate, sales minus cost of goods sold, you have gross profit. Gross profit over sales, ang tawag natin doon, gross profit rate. So ang goal natin, for the gross profit method, compute natin yung cost of goods available for sale, lahat na ibebenta natin, and then compute natin yung cost of goods sold, yun yung ending inventory mo. Right? Yung should be. Now, i-compare mo siya dun sa physical count or yung remaining inventory natin, yun yung loss on inventory mo. Okay? So, ganun siya. Apply muna natin siya and then later, apply natin yung retail inventory method. Let's go to our handouts. Number 1, inventory estimation. The gross profit method assumes that punta ka sa boy. Sales and cost of goods sold have not changed from the previous years. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin lang yan, yung number 1 na yan, stable yung gross profit rate natin. Okay? So, gross profit rate yung important dyan. Mali yung A because nakalagay, the amount of gross profit is the same as in prior years. Kasi kahit magkamukha yung gross profit, pwede magkaiba yung gross profit rate. Alright? Kasi again, pag gross profit rate, gross profit over sales. Mas tama yung boy. Kasi yung boy, kung magkamukha yung sales and cost of goods sold, alam natin, magkamukha yung gross profit rate. Alright? So, ganun siya. Boy yung sagot natin for number 1. Number 2, to produce an inventory valuation which approximates the lower of cost and NRV using the retail method, yung retail, okay? The computation of the ratio of cost to retail, yung LCNRV, and then yung conservative approach. So, balik muna tayo sandali. For the retail inventory method, later, apply natin yung average and yung FIFO and conservative. Pag sinabi mong FIFO, tandaan mo lang class na we exclude the beginning inventory. So, excludes beginning inventory. So, take note mo, apply natin later. Pag sinabi mong conservative or LCNRV, i-exclude natin lahat ng markdowns and markdown cancellations. Okay? Kaya, lower of cost or NRV or conservative. Ina-exclude natin yung markdown and markdown cancellation. Balik tayo dun sa kaninang tanong. Nakalagay, number 2, to produce an inventory valuation which approximates the lower cost or NRV or the conservative approach, the computation of the ratio of cost to retail should include markdown pero i-exclude natin yung, include natin yung markup pero exclude natin yung markdown letter A. Yung sagot natin for number 2. Alright, number 3, 4, and 5, apply natin yung gross profit method. Number 3, what is the cost of goods available for sale? Number 4, what is the cost of goods sold? And number 5, estimated cost of inventory shortage. This is the given. ABC company reported the following information for the current year. Meron tayong beginning inventory, purchases, freight in, and so on and so forth. Again, ang goal mo, hanapin natin yung cost of goods available for sale muna. Cost of goods available for sale, get your calculators, sabayan nyo ako mag-compute. Beginning inventory, 5 million. Plus purchases, 26 million. Plus freight in na 2 million. Minus purchase returns and allowances na 3.5 million. Minus purchase discounts of 1.5 million. Nakuha mo ba yung 28 million? Yes, cost of goods available for sale, 28 million. And then, kukompare natin yan sa cost of goods sold. Paano natin makakompute yung cost of goods sold? Well, yung sales natin, or yung net sales natin, compute natin, sales 40 million, minus sales returns na 3 million, 37 million. I-disregard mo yung sales discounts and sales allowances because walang physical flow of inventory yan. Okay? Take note na sa cost of goods available for sale, kinonsider mo yung discounts and allowances, and discounts and returns and allowances. Minus mo yun. Pero kapag cost of goods sold, or pag net sales, i-ignore mo yun. Huwag mo yan. So, ibig sabihin, 37 million yung sales natin, multiply mo sa cost ratio. Ano yung cost ratio? Cost ratio is 1 minus the gross profit rate. Tingnan natin. Punta ka dun sa last sentence. The gross profit rate was 40% on sales. Ibig sabihin, cost ratio mo, 60%. Sales natin 37 million, multiply mo by 60%, cost of goods sold mo is 22.2 million. Okay? So, ang tanong sa number 3, what is the cost of goods available for sale? A na yung sagot mo dyan, 28 million. Number 4, what is the cost of goods sold? 22.2 million. Difference between the two, 28 million minus 22.2, 5.8 million, ito yung difference nila. Ito yung ending inventory na should be natin. Okay? Should be. Punta sa second paragraph. A physical inventory taken at year-end resulted in ending inventory costing 4 million. At year-end, unsold goods out on consignment with selling price of 1 million are in the hands of the consignee. Iyan yung based on physical count or yung remaining natin. So, meron tayong should be. Compare natin sa remaining inventory natin. Nakalagay dyan, meron daw 4 million plus nag-consign tayo pero naka-selling price. So, 1 million times 60%. Dapat at cost yung inventory. Tama? So, 1 million 4 million plus 60% of 1 million, that is 4.6 million. It should be natin for 5.8 Yung remaining natin is 4.6. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong missing inventory na 1.2 million. Letter C for number 5, 1.2 million. Easy. Okay, so ito na. Let's go to retail inventory method. So isa-isahin natin yan. Again, meron tayong average, meron tayong FIFO, meron tayong conservative. Ito yung topic na madaling kalimutan. So i-recall natin. Okay, let's go to number 6 and 7. Sa number 6, conservative. Number 7 is average. Average muna. Mamaya yung conservative. Okay, Mr. Accounting Company used the retail inventory method to approximate the ending inventory. The following information is available. Meron tayong cost, meron tayong retail. Alright? So if you remember, meron tayong table na gagamitin, meron tayong cost and retail. Alright, start tayo with beginning inventory. Nakalagay dyan, 650,000. Cost, 1.2 million yung retail. Purchases natin, we have 9 million at cost and 14.7 million at retail. Freight in natin, we have 200,000 at cost. Siyempre, walang retail yan. Purchase returns, 100,000, siyempre negative yan. Retail is 500,000 negative. Purchase allowances, minus 150,000. Departmental transfer in, T-in na lang, transfer in, positive yan. Plus 200, plus 300. Pag transferred out naman, minus naman yan. Okay? Next. Markup. Nakalagay dyan, net markup. Ibig sabihin, naka-net na dun sa markup cancellation. Net markup natin is 300,000 always at retail yan. Okay? Plus 300. And then, markdown natin. Siyempre, markdown. So, minus naman yan. You have minus 1 million. Okay? So, computing natin. At cost muna, 650,000. Plus 9 million. Plus 200,000. Minus 300. Minus 150. Plus 200,000. You have 9.6 million. Okay? Ito yung goods available for sale natin. 1.2 million. Plus 14.7 million, minus 500,000, plus 300,000, plus 300,000, minus 1 million. Nakuha ko dito class is 15 million. Ang mahalaga dito is the cost ratio. Cost natin, 9.6 million. I-divide natin by 15 million, you have 64%. Yan yung important sa atin. Average muna tayo ha. After that, nakuha natin yung cost ratio. Doon mo tayo sa sales, compute natin yung net sales. May sales tayo in the problem na 9.5 million. And then, add back natin yung employee discounts for 500,000. And then take note na yung sales discounts in-ignore ko. Parang kanina sa gross profit method naka-ignore siya. And then add back mo yung normal spoilage which is 1 million. Pag abnormal spoilage, take note, pag abnormal spoilage, like dito abnormal, ima-minus mo at cost, ima-minus mo at retail. Okay, ganun siya. Dito siya makaka-affect. Pag normal spoilage, add back sa sales yan. Alright? So makukuha mo dyan is net sales, 9.5 million. Plus 500,000 plus 1 million. That is 11 million. Okay, next. Meron tayong goods available for sale. How much? At retail na 15 million. Yan yung pwede natin ibenta. Lahat ng pwede natin ibenta. Eh, nabenta mo, sales mo, net sales, 11 million. Tama ba, class? Ito yung pwede mo ibenta, 15. Nabenta mo is 11. Ibig sabihin, meron kang ending inventory, 4 million. Pero at retail yan. Kailangan natin at cost kasi inventory is measured at cost. Multiply mo sa 64%. Times 64%, 4 million. Times 0.64. Answer mo dyan? 2,560,000. For number 7, average yung pinakita ko sa inyo, letter A yan. 2,560,000. Paano naman yung number 6, conservative? Pag sinabi kong conservative, exclude mo yung markdowns. Okay? So, asan yung markdown? Ito. Gagawin ko lang dyan, recompute lang ako. Goods available for sale, instead of 9.6, o 9.6 pa rin, kasi yung markdown, dito lang naman sa retail yan eh. 9.6 million at cost. Ngayon, kung i-exclude mo yung 1 million, tama ba class? Pag in-exclude mo yan, magiging 16 million yan. Okay? 15 million plus 1 million, 16 million. Therefore, ang cost ratio mo ngayon, 9.6 million, divided by 16 million, 60%. Alright? So, magiging sagot mo dyan, na-compute natin yung ending inventory kanina, na 4 million at retail, multiply mo by 60%, you have 2.4 million. So, under conservative approach, number 6, answer mo dyan, 2.4 million. Okay na tayo sa average, okay tayo sa conservative, sir, paano pag FIFO? Pag FIFO, sabi ko kanina, huwag mo i-consider yung beginning inventory in computing the cost ratio. So, ibig sabihin, recompute natin. Goods available for sale at cost. So, huwag mo isasama yan. Ibig sabihin, class, 9.6 million, add back mo yung 650,000. 9.6 million plus 650,000. So, yung at cost mo is okay, so ulit. So, hindi pala add back, minus pala. 9.6 million, kasi i-exclude natin yung beginning eh. Bababa yung goods available for sale mo. 9.6 million minus 650,000, you have 8,950,000. I-divide natin by retail, 15 million plus 1.2 million, that's 16.2 million. Yes. So, 8,950, sorry. So, yung cost mo dyan, again, ulitin ko. Kapag FIFO, exclude natin yung beginning inventory. Ibig sabihin, bababa yung goods available for sale mo. Tama? So, 9.6 million minus 650, yun yung 8,950. 15 million minus 1.2 million, you have 13.8 million. Alright? So, yung cost ratio na gagamitin natin, 8,950,000 divided by 8,950, divide natin by 13.8 million, that is 64.86%. I-round up lang natin na 65%. So, in that case, yung magiging ending inventory natin, 4 million times 65%. Okay? So, ang sagot natin kapag FIFO approach, 4 million times 0.65, 2.6 million. Okay? So, ganun siya. Sige. So, that's it. Kaya siya, tingnan mo class yung conservative natin. Di ba yung conservative, sagot natin 2.4 million. Lower siya than average and FIFO. Kasi conservative nga. So, mas mababa yung nire-report natin na ending inventory. Okay, so that's for inventory estimation.